Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Maggie and Ferocious Mondays. Today, we will be reviewing our first episode, our first segment of the third episode of Maggie and the Ferocious Beast, Season 1, Episode 3A, Pack Up Your Troubles. In this episode, Maggie, Hamilton, and the Beast are having a bad day with various mishaps: a ruined drawing, difficult origami, and squashed muffins. So they decide to send their troubles off to sea in paper boats. However, they soon realize they don't have any real troubles at all. Now, this episode, I really do like it. I feel like this episode is one of those episodes that I can happily say that it's really relatable because like whenever I have a bad day, um I do well before I start off, I would say I do have a vivid memory of this episode because when Beast started when I heard Beast hiccups, I was like, "Oh my god, I remember this episode because his hiccups actually kind of unnerved me as a kid. That's the first. That will be the first and only time in my life I was ever scared of the Beast. Not by himself, but by his hiccups. Which normally when cartoons like deal with hiccups, their hiccups are kind of funny when I was younger. But now that I'm older, like when I was younger, the Beast was the only cartoon characters that hiccups scared me, and that's all I'll say. But talk about this episode. Um, in this episode, we get introduced to the Dream Sheep, and I really like them. They're really cute, and them trying to tell Maggie that her crayon is right in between her hair and her ear. But when we come back to the next scene, she has it, and I want to guess that she finally got the point across off screen. But I mean, it would have been nice to have a little scene that she would have found her crayon and her ear, and she would have been like, "Why didn't you guys tell me in the first place?" And and the sheep would have been all like upset, like like we tried to tell you, in their little sheep language. That would have been really cute if we got in a scene like that. But yeah, and Hamilton, due to the Beast hiccups, he had fell back and he had squished the muffins. He squished the muffins, and this is also the first time that we get introduced to Hamilton, a recipe that Hamilton will cook the most throughout the series: pumpkin muffins. And of course, we have the Beast origami, and whenever somebody mentions origami to me, I remember the absolute struggle I had with origami as a kid. I could never do origami. I'll say it right now. I'll say right now, paper mache, I was good at that. Shoot, I'll even say um um collages, I was really good at that too. But when it came to origami, your girl had butterfingers, okay? I had legit butterfingers. But yeah. And he had squished the muffins when Beast had a hiccup again. And Maggie's drawing had blew away along with the dream sheep, which was pretty funny. And sadly, when she had tried to retrieve her picture, it had pierced through the Beast horns, which will actually be a reference, which is actually a reference to one of the shorts back in the 90s, um, titled Beach Ball Bonanza, when Beast had popped the beach ball they were playing with, and it had pierced through his horns. It had popped, which I like that little nod to the shorts. I like that, getting some inspiration to where you started off at. I like that. And I like, but what I really like the episode for is the metaphor slash the message. Let's start off with the message. Even though you have bad days, you could still turn your uh-ohs into wins. Meaning, for example, Maggie said that, even though her painting got messed up, she can always paint a new. She can always. Why I keep on saying paint? She colored. She can always draw a new one. And as for Hamilton with his muffins got flat, but he was able to turn those. he was able to turn those muffins. They were still good, you know, they were still good, but he was able to the gang thought of like really cool ideas, like they can throw them muffins, they can hide, muffins you could put in your pocket, and but you know what, they should have called them muffin cookies, you know, because they're flat, you could still eat them, you know, you know, pumpkin muffin, they got squished, muffin cookies. I wish they would have used that terminology, muffin cookies, because I just call them muffin cookies whenever I see this scene. And for the beast, you know, he said that he couldn't he couldn't do his origami because of his hiccups. But then when he mentions his hiccups, he realizes he doesn't have them anymore. And I really like the terminology Maggie used, that I wish we could just take all our troubles and then just send them out to sea, take them on a vacation, which I like that metaphor, you know. Sometimes you have like, sometimes on like a particular day, you have like so many bad things going for you, just like really, really bad things. And you just wish you can just send them off, wish they'll never come back, you know? So that's why I really like this episode. I really like it for its, you know, for its relatability and its terminology, you know, whenever you're having bad days. And, you know, and I just love the scene at the end where, you know how much, if you remember my review on Spot the Spot, you know how much I love the gang whenever they're sitting near sunset. And the sunset near the river of dreams, when their boats are just going down the river stream, and the gang just like leaning up against each other, was just, I love scenes like that from this show. They make me so fuzzy inside. They just make me so fuzzy. I I love them so much, you know? They just make me all nice, fuzzy. It brings me with joy, you know? So So I will say I loved this episode. I absolutely loved it. It was relatable. It was relatable. It was it was funny at some point, and it really knew how to give a nice heartwarming ending, and really can teach the viewer something about, if you have troubles, you can turn those troubles into wins, you know? So by the end of the day, your troubles won't get the best of you, you know? So I will happily give this episode a 10 out of 10. This is our first segment and we're starting with a 10, so I have a good feeling for the rest of these batch of episodes in our third episode. So yeah. So far this is my favorite segment. This is my favorite segment in our third episode so far. But it might be tied with our next episode. I'm not sure yet. I'm still thinking, but we'll have to see. So, tune in with me next time as we will be reviewing our second segment of our third episode, season 1, episode 3B, Rub-a-Dub-Dub. See you all next time. Great googly moogly.